Hey guys, thanks for joining me for an episode of Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and today we're going to take a look at Gizmos. This is a newer game by CMON Games. It is a 2 to 4 player game that takes roughly half an hour to an hour to play, and it is a competitive game, so each player is working against the other players to collect the most points to be the overall winner at the end of the game. So in the game itself, each player is playing a scientist that's getting ready for the world's greatest science fair. And they're doing this by building different gizmos, harnessing the powers of the four energies to make the most spectacular and craziest gizmos out of anybody. The players are going to be doing this by collecting the four different energy types and building gizmos into their dashboards. And as they build these different gizmos or do different things, they could potentially create chain reactions that will build on each other and let them do additional actions throughout the turn or gain additional energy and whatnot in the hopes of continually building a better engine that will help them to get the most points to be the overall winner at the end of the game. So my opinions on this game, this is one that I've had an absolute blast with. I would highly recommend checking this one out. It plays very well. It's very easy to teach, as you guys are going to see here in a couple minutes, and it's just a lot of fun, especially if you enjoy engine building games. This is definitely one I would check out. The artwork is great in this one. There's all kinds of different components, such as the dispenser that really adds to the immersion within the game, and everything else. The art and everything is very good. So I would definitely recommend checking this one out if you guys get a chance to. Of course, these are just my opinions. I'd love to hear you guys as well. Is this one that you guys have played? Do you like it? Yes or no? Please let me know in those comments below what you guys think of this one as well. And as always, if you guys enjoy these videos, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel, as it'll help me to continue to grow and bring these great videos to you guys. And as always, if you want to stay up to date on any of my videos, also consider ringing that bell so you get notifications anytime I release new content. So let's go ahead and head to the table, and I'll teach you guys how to play. So let me take you guys through a breakdown of the cards. There are 3 different decks included in the game, levels 1, 2, and 3, and underneath each of these is a quick reference to the total cost of all the cards in that deck. So for example, with level 1, all the cards are going to cost 1 energy. Level 2, the cards are going to cost between 2 to 3 energy, and in level 3, they're going to cost between 4 to 7 energy. Then the card itself is going to have a bunch of information on it. In the top corner is going to be the Gizmo Type, which there are 5 different types. We have upgrades, converters, file, pick, and build. In the middle of the card is going to be the Gizmo effect or triggering conditions for that card, and I'm going to go into this a little bit more later. On the other corner, we have the victory points that Gizmo is worth. So as you move up in levels, they're going to be worth more and more. Over in the bottom corner here, we have the energy type, which there are 4 different types of energy. We have blue energy, yellow energy, black, and red. And then there's also some multicolored ones, and I'm going to go into what this is a little bit later. Then finally underneath all of that is the total or the cost in energy of that type to build that gizmo. So for example, we would need 1 blue energy to build this one. And over here we would need 3 red energy to build this one. And then finally with this one, we would need 7 energy of any type combined. So you can use any of the colors to build this particular gizmo. At the beginning of the game, each player is also going to start with a starter gizmo card that is going to be built in their area, as you guys are going to see. For player setup, the first thing you're going to do is determine the starting player by gathering all of the dashboards, including the specially colored brown one, which will represent the first player, shuffle them up and deal 1 to each player, and the player that receives the brown one will be the starting player. Alternatively, what I like to do is grab 1 marble of each of the colors, shuffle them up randomly, choose a color, and then have each player draw 1 from my hand, and the player that draws the color that I chose will be the starting player. From there, then each player will receive a dashboard. They'll receive 1 starting upgrade card, which they can place under the file, and then they'll also receive an energy storage ring for all their little marbles that they'll have as they collect them. Then let me take you guys through a breakdown of the player dashboard. So there are 6 different areas: upgrades, converters, file, pick, build, and research. Starting with the upgrades, you're going to have stats under there for all your initial starting stats, which are the maximum number of energy marbles you can place in your energy storage ring, the amount of files or gizmo cards you can archive, and finally the number of research that you can perform, which I'm going to go into more detail about these later. Moving over, we have converters and a quick description of how that works, and I'll go into those more a little bit later too. Then we have the 4 different types of actions the players can perform, which are file, pick, build, and research. And next to each of these is a quick reference to what this particular action does. For board setup, the first thing you're going to do is shuffle up each one of your level decks, and then you're going to place out a number of cards based on the level. So with our level 1, we're going to go ahead and place that out, and then we're going to reveal the top 4 cards. Then we'll do the same thing with level 2, but we're only going to reveal 3 cards. And then finally with the level 3 deck, we're going to go ahead and again shuffle that up, remove 20 cards at random, so 1, 2, 3. These can be returned to the box as you won't be using those this game. And then for the rest of it, you're going to deal out 2 cards. You can also place out all your tokens. For this video, I'm also going to be using the Crystal Fortress trays, which I'd highly recommend. These are really nice customizable trays where you can remove and change out all the different slots to make the trays in any way you want to. I'll have a link to in the description below for you guys to find the link to their website. And I also have created a video showing all the different features of these as well. Finally, you're going to grab the Gizmo dispenser and assemble it as shown in the rulebook. And then finally, you're going to place all of the energy marbles in the top of the dispenser. You'll have 6 come out the bottom, and if they don't all come out, just shuffle them around in the inside there. From here, you're ready to start the game. Gizmos is played under an undefined number of turns, starting with the first player and proceeding in a clockwise order. During each player's turn, they get to perform 1 action out of a list of 4, which is to file, pick, build, or research. This is going to continue until one of the endgame conditions is met, which is either one player has built 4 level 3 gizmos, or one player has 16 gizmos total, including their starting gizmo. At that point, then the game will proceed until all players have had an equal number of turns, and then finally the players will total up all their victory points, and the player with the most will be the overall winner of the game. During a player's turn, they're going to perform one of the 4 different actions, which is to file, pick, build, and research. And I'm going to take you guys through each one of these now in depth so you can see how each one of them works. So we're going to go ahead and start with filing, which will allow a player to choose one of the face-up gizmos and immediately add it to their archive, which is off to the side of their player dashboard. Now there is a limit to this, which is listed under their file, so each player is allowed to archive 1 file at the beginning of the game until you upgrade that. So our first player here, which is the player with the brown outline, is going to go ahead and go, and their first action is to file. So they're going to take this one here, as this is going to let them upgrade their file limit and their storage limit. So we're going to place it over in the archive, and then immediately we're going to fill that spot with a new gizmo. From there, then you're going to check under the file and see if you've activated any of your gizmos. And this is the main part of the game. And I'm going to go into a little bit more than this a little bit later. But with this particular one, it says anytime you file a gizmo, you get to do a random draw from the top of the gizmo dispenser. So we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, so we got a red energy. And then we would continue on. If there was any other ones that we triggered, we can do those in any order we want. The pick action is going to let you choose 1 energy marble from the available 6 in the energy row and add it to your storage ring. Your energy storage ring has a limit, which is equal to your dashboard plus upgrades, and all energy taken must go directly to your energy storage ring, and your ring can never hold more energy than your limit. So if you are at your limit, you cannot take any more energy. So let's take a look at an example of this. We'll go ahead and take this red one here and add it to our ring. Then we would look under our pick action, and if we had any gizmos that could be activated by that action, then we could go ahead and trigger those in the order we wish. With the build action, you're going to choose 1 face-up gizmo card from the display or from your archive area, and then you're going to spend the energy in your energy storage, matching that gizmo's energy type and cost. Once you've done that, then you're going to place the gizmo below your player dashboard in the area corresponding to its gizmo type. And with converters, when performing a build action, you may be able to use your active converter gizmos to convert the energy you have into energy you need. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example of this. Let's go ahead and say that we had a black energy that we had picked up from the previous turn, and we're going to go ahead and wish to build this one, which is going to cost us 1 black energy. So we're going to go ahead and add this back to the dispenser, and then we can choose to build this. And this gizmo is an upgrade, so it's going to go underneath the upgrade section. From there, then we would consult our build section, and if we had any other gizmos to trigger, we could do that. And then we're going to immediately fill this with a new gizmo. Now there are converter ones, so for example with this one here, if we would have had this one built prior to that one, and we happen to have a red energy, this one will allow us to convert one red energy to any energy we need. So in that situation with us wanting to build this one, we could go ahead and spend the red energy, converting it to a black energy, and again spending it and then being able to add this to our upgrade section. The final option we have is to research. With the research, it's going to allow you to draw a number of cards as shown in your upgrades under the research icon from one of the decks, and you can only draw from one deck. So let's go ahead and say, for example, with our player, they have 2 energy, and we're going to go ahead and perform a research action. So we're going to go ahead and draw 3 cards from the level 1 deck, as that is our limit. 1, 2, 3. From there, then we get to look at those cards, and we can choose one to either build immediately if we have the resources, or add it to our archive section. So we do have an energy for both of these, so we can choose to build one of these. So let's go ahead and build this one here. So we'll add our red energy back to the pool and add this to our under our pick. From there, then we can go ahead and return the other cards in any order we choose to the bottom of that deck. And then we would check underneath our build section, since we did build a card, and see if any of the other gizmos were activated from that. I'd like to go into a little bit more detail now about triggering gizmo effects. So whenever you perform an action, make sure to check all of the gizmos you have under that action to see if any are triggered. And after the triggering action is complete, you may activate the effects of any triggered gizmo in any order you wish. Each gizmo may only be used once per turn, and you can use the effect of a gizmo on the same turn as built. However, it cannot be triggered by the same action that built it. Now there's also chain reactions, which the effect of one gizmo may be a different action than the one originally performed. So when you perform that secondary action, it may trigger other gizmos, and so on. So whenever you perform an action, whether it's your one action that you've chosen for the turn or a triggered action by the gizmo effect, always check the gizmos under the action to see if any of them are triggered. So let's look at some examples of this. Let's go ahead and say, for example, with our player here, we've built a couple of different gizmos. And we have a couple here under the build action that will trigger if we build a red gizmo. And we just so happen to have one red energy, so let's go ahead and spend that to go ahead and build this one here. So we'll add this underneath our effect, and then we get to trigger any gizmos under there that apply to that. So any gizmo that is triggered by that building a red gizmo, which are these 2 here. So we'll gain 1 victory point. So we'll add that to our area. And then we get to perform a pick action, which is going to trigger this one here. So we're going to go ahead and pick. And this one says if we pick a blue, we get to pick a random energy. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll pick a blue energy, and then that will trigger that, which will be a blind energy pick. And so with the blind ones, those will never trigger as a pick action. But when we do select under there, then we have triggered that. So that is an example of a chain reaction. Once one of the players has met one of the endgame conditions, which again is having 4 level 3 gizmos built, or 16 total gizmos built, including your initial gizmo. At that point, then the game will be over once all players have had an equal number of turns, and then you'd move into the scoring where you're going to count up all the victory points on each of your built gizmos and any victory point tokens you have. That total will determine the winning player, with the highest player with the most victory points being the overall winner of the game. Well, I hope you guys found that video helpful. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And as always, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my videos and leave me feedback on them. I do really appreciate it, and I do take into account everything you guys say. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.